Hey everybody, welcome to the Akashic forecast for the year 2026. So this one, I recommend sitting down and taking her in. There's some important messages the record keepers really want to share about this big year that we've all been waiting for. Showtime continues. So grab a tea. This one's going to be a little longer, and let's hear it. See you there. All right. Welcome to the full forecast for the year 2026. My name is Justin Taylor. I am a Akashic consultant. I'm also an artist and a writer. And for those of you who do not know what the records are, I will say very briefly, it is the impression, the vibrational impression in consciousness, capital C, the one consciousness that we all are, that all things are, of what has happened and what could happen, what lays in potential. And we can access this information for our well-being, for guidance, for support, for perspective. And I help bring people into this level of information, and I also do it through these videos as a way to share more generally with the themes that are affecting us all. So 2026. This continues the theme that we've had over the past few years. They're calling showtime. It is showtime. It is a phase, it is a period we have all been waiting for, all preparing for, to bring in the world that we want. And to bring in the world that we want, the old world must end. It is a natural process, a natural cycle. There is a dying. And in 2026, we will see more of the death throes of the old way, the power path. So those leaders of the power path will continue to do more brazen actions to grab power, to try and grab control. And that will shock the surface, as it has done. These are shocks on the surface. And in 2026, there's a rising energy, a rising response to this of the divine feminine. There is a rising divine feminine energy really coming online now. And they are representing this with the color fuchsia, the color violet, and the violet flame. The violet flame, for those of you who are familiar with it, is an energetic image, an energetic light that represents transmutation of emotions, especially heavier, more challenging emotions, into pure heart action. And the big calling that this year is making is to, similar to last year, to allow your center to shift down below the shoulders into the lower chakras, particularly the solar plexus, the heart, the softer chakras, so that you are getting information from the earth. You're getting information from the earth itself. These energy centers, the solar plexus, the root, even the heart, these are deeply connected to the totality, not just the physical environment, but the whole kit and caboodle. And it's these energy centers which can really take action based in a deep confidence, a deep knowledge of what we really are. We are not what we think. We are not what we believe. We are not what we emotionally are going through. These are all temporary. And what we really are, which is always here, which has been here since we were 5 years old, is our being. Our being, which is one. There is no other thing happening here. And the lower chakras have a much easier time feeling this, knowing this. And so in 2026, as there's a deeper call to take action from our depths, from our truth, we must rely on these parts of ourselves. We live in a culture that is very, very head-focused, which is reactive, prone to believing whatever is thought. And thinking, by the way, isn't wrong or bad. There's definitely a place for it. But it requires discernment. And discernment is only possible when we are grounded and landed in ourselves and can separate one thing from another in terms of our thoughts and really look at what's true. So thinking has a deep place, of course, and it's a beautiful part of our instrument, our body and mind instrument. But what we are, that which plays the instrument of ourself, our body, our mind, is much more permanent and free and loving. And so we feel that more easily in the lower chakras. So 2026, there's a very strong violet light that is like everywhere, like it's a party in the street. It's everywhere. And interestingly, I put on this violet shirt today, not knowing that this would be their message, and this violet and this flower behind me. So there's a very pregnant capacity for all of us to enjoy this rising divine feminine power. It is not belonging to anyone. It is shared, it is collective, and it is a counterbalance to the dying of the power way, the old toxic masculine way that we are seeing right now. They want to say two things about this divine feminine power or divine feminine energy. One is it can show up as grace. There is a kind of grace that is circling the earth right now, making it much easier to shift our sense of center into our lower chakras, which know ourself, can more easily feel the present and live there, and not be fooled by fear or what happens on the surface of life. This grace also makes it much more easy to make good on our heart wishes. Our heart wishes. These are from the universe. The wishes in the heart are from the universe. They're impersonal. They are planted in each of us as almost like loving marching orders for our part in the great weave, the great tapestry. And in 2026, we're going to feel this ease of going out and just doing it. It's like, I know what matters. I'm just going to go do it. There's no obstacle. So while there might be a lot of shock and power grab in the news, there is in our being a clarity. And that clarity leads to a lot of action. Whereas 2025 was about really recalibrating and coming back into the solar plexus and letting the mind rest and letting whatever kind of disquiet was still in us work its way to the surface and transmute. 2026 is much more about coming out of the cave and taking beautiful action on behalf of the wishes in our heart. And so that doesn't mean there won't be moments where we get knocked back or we fall off the horse or we have a shock and we need to work through it, or we have a big reaction that's waiting inside of us that gets triggered and we need to tend to that. So all of that still may be true in 2026. But this violet light, what some call the violet flame, is a very important ally in this year. Very important. It is a energetic image, energetic light that can be called on to transmute any negative thought, any negative emotion back into raw heart power. And mostly that is done with ritual. So they want to really underline and reinforce the role of a ritual to create the world you want, which is a world of connection. Hey everybody, I had to change rooms there, but the message does continue. So what they were saying about ritual is that we are highly powerful beings that can transform so much through the simple technology of ritual. And ritual doesn't have to be something that some special person leads, some shaman or priest or ordained somebody. It is truly innate in all of us. And almost anything can be a ritual. But they want to delineate just a few items that every ritual would do well to contain. The first is intention. Every ritual begins with some kind of intention. Maybe it is to transmute your feelings, your fears for yourself or others. Maybe it is to lay the groundwork for a really important heart wish, a project that feels alive and growing in you, that wants to become born and move in the world. And then you call in the helpers. So in the Akashic records, we often call on masters, teachers, and loved ones to come guide us and deliver the information that we seek. But it can be any kind of helper in the unseen, even someone dearly departed, an ancestor, figures like Christ, Mary, all the saints, Buddha, the archangels, whatever you might want to call on, or even without naming anything, just grace itself. Bring in some helper to join you in the ritual, just so that you are not feeling as if you are doing this all on your own. The habit of mind to think, I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to make it happen, is the old pattern. And we are transmuting that in 2026. Grace, this new grace flowing around the world, that's what's doing it. That's what's doing it. So you call on the helpers to join you, and then light a candle, bring in use light in some way, use scent in some way. and not required, but also helps create a wonderful vibrational container. And then prayer or vibrational words to concretize, clarify the intention, the image, the change that you are naming and calling into reality. And then close with gratitude. So intention, calling on the helpers, adding light or scent. And I would add a third here, or they're adding a third, which is movement. And then prayer or vibrational words that concretize and bring into manifestation that change you seek in your heart. And then close with gratitude. You add those elements to anything, it's a ritual. It could be a meal, it could be a dance, it could be formal meditation and prayer. It could be lovemaking and sex. It could be giving a gift to somebody. It doesn't need to necessarily be a, quote, spiritual act, a classic spiritual act. So do not underestimate the power of ritual to bring forth what actions you seek in your heart. And again, it leaves the mind out of it, at least the masterminding out of it, and cooperates with this grace energy. Ritual is an act of deep cooperation with the totality. Absolutely. So, just to sum it up for you friends, we can watch and react to the headlines and what the Power Path folks are doing with the old way, the indignation, the war internally, the terror, and that's a path, if we still need to do that. Or we can call on what is being deeply activated in 2026, the violet flame, the violet light of transmutation that puts us into the flow of grace, into the steps needed from us so that we actually enact the wishes in our heart. And as you've heard me say many times, and the records say many times, wishes in the heart are from the universe, they are from the totality, they are not personal. And wishes in the heart come true. So, know, when we rest who we feel we are into the lower energy centers, we have a much greater capacity to have confidence in this new world that's coming forward. Because those parts of us are connected so much more to reality than our thinking. So much more. So, it's a protection in a way. And so this fuchsia violet light is calling on us to live in its grace, live in its protection. And ritual can be a beautiful way to collaborate with it and bring confidence into the foreground. Again, they're saying 2026 is showtime. Showtime continues. The action ramps up. And we will be continuing that into a state of great sovereignty through this year and beyond. The world is changing. Things will look very different. They already do. In a few years' time. And this life of worrying, about ourself, about our world, it can end. It can. And simple happiness can reign. Yes, 2026. The other one thing that they're offering for this year is join with your tribe. Again, as we rest in ourselves in the lower energy centers, these are centers that connect with others much more easily. And let yourself be guided to your chosen families, to your tribe, your soul families. Much can be done when we do it together. Again, from this deep knowledge of this grace that is flowing around the world right now, blessing our world. Touch it every day. Okay. Thank you so much for taking in this forecast for 2026. I send you great love and blessings for glory. Thank you.